I saw my boyfriend's burn scars. Now he is suggesting we break up. My boyfriend's house burned down when he was young due to electrical issues that were never disclosed to his parents. He and his father were severely burned. They lived, but his mother died. He has told me that when he was younger, he was bullied for his scars. A huge bully of his from middle school always sniffed the air when he entered a class and would loudly say, "EW, you guys smell that? Smells like there's bacon burning," every time he entered a room, then left. He and I met in freshman year and became best friends in sophomore year. I've never seen his scars in full good view, only small glimpses if his shirt rode up, and he'd quickly fix his shirt to cover it. His scars start from the bottom half of his ribs to just above his knees, so this is the only way he can cover them. He always hides his scars, constantly wearing pants and long-sleeve shirts even if it's super hot outside, even bringing his pajamas into the bathroom to change into. He's done this ever since I've known him. Even after we are intimate, which we do in the dark, he'll immediately get changed back into his clothes before we cuddle or do anything else. I know he is ashamed of his scars, and when we were friends I was fiercely protective and always changed the subject if his scars got brought up, which he always thanked me for. Whenever his friends would see his scars in small glances, they would say how cool it is. Looks like Deadpool's skin. His family always emphasized it doesn't matter what he looked like on the outside because he was beautiful on the inside. They would all try to be nice, but failed horribly. So I would change the topic before they could dig themselves a deeper hole. I have never and would never ask or pressure him to show me. I don't judge his scars or think they're ugly. I thought he knew I wouldn't judge him because some of his dad's burned scars are impossible to cover up. One of them covers half his face, and never once have I judged or even thought his dad's scars were disturbing. He's a very handsome man. They both are, which is why I'm so confused by his reaction and accusations of this. I work weird hours as a nurse, so sometimes I can come home at 9 a.m., sometimes 5 p.m., sometimes the butt crack of dawn. One day I went home and wanted to immediately take a shower. I was in airplane mode and was completely exhausted. I opened the bathroom door and he was getting changed. I saw his scars. I'll admit I stared not because I thought they were gross, but because I was having an oh crap moment knowing I screwed up. He and I have been dating for almost a year. I had to move into his place a while ago after my parents cut me off when I came out and told them I was dating my boyfriend, so I'm not used to sharing an apartment with someone. He blew up at me, yelling at me too. Get out. He had never yelled at me before this. Sure, we got into spats and small fights where he raised his voice, but he never full-on yelled. I shut the door, and he went quiet. I was pacing in the kitchen for almost 20-30 minutes when he quickly walked past me trying to leave when I stopped him. He was pissed, yelling at me that he thought I would know how to knock by now and questioning if I did it on purpose. I was trying to explain while trying not to cry because I saw how red his eyes were. I knew he was crying. I couldn't say anything and just made incomprehensible sobs as I tried to explain that I was, but he wouldn't listen and left without saying where he was going. I was heartbroken. He texted me soon after saying, "I'm not coming home tomorrow. We can talk about our relationship." I immediately messaged him back asking what that meant and spent several minutes watching that little text incoming bubble bob in and out before he texted whether we should stay together, as if it was obvious I had no idea what to do. My boyfriend, my best friend of 8 years. I love him, and I couldn't imagine life without him. That night I decided to send a text that I love him and his scars don't bother me so that it could relieve some tension. He didn't respond to that, but he came back in the morning. We talked for hours. It started with me apologizing for walking in on him and that I didn't mean to. He admitted that he knew that and apologized for yelling. I suggested we get locks on doors, and he seemed pretty happy about that. To clear the air, I asked him about the whether we should stay together text and if it was rooted in his ex-girlfriend. Basically, he's mentioned having a really bad ex-girlfriend in the past who had issues with his scars. I asked him if she broke up with him over that. He admitted that he had thought she didn't mind his scars and took his shirt off in front of her. She decided to gasp and start making a big deal about how he cheated her and that he made it seem like the scars weren't that bad and broke up with him. He said he knew it wasn't an excuse, but his brain immediately went to that and he freaked out. I asked if he wanted to break up and he was just trying to find an excuse, and he quickly said no. He specified that he was just trying to give me an out if I wanted it. I was relieved. He asked why I stared if I wasn't disgusted. I said that I had an oh crap moment of panic, knowing I screwed up. He felt awful and apologized for making me feel so uncomfortable in our home, and that he tried to work on being more comfortable with his scars. That's when I suggested therapy. He instantly got defensive, saying that he already had therapy and it didn't work very well. I pointed out that the way he wants us to live isn't healthy, that we can have locks and a not before entering policy. But him expecting me to never see him undressed was unfair to both of us, that it was his insecurities getting worse and me enabling it. He was dismissive of these points, saying how it wouldn't change things. It didn't work the first time. Why would it work now? I pointed out how he almost threw out a 9-year-old relationship over me accidentally walking in on him. He tried to say that locks would help stop that from happening again, and it might. But I don't want you walking on eggshells either. I want you to be comfortable with me. I want you to trust me. He begrudgingly agreed to talk to his dad about what therapist he went to and going to see them. I also asked him about going to couples counseling, and he just stared. He asked something along the lines, "Why do you care about seeing my scars so much? You didn't care before." Not mean or aggressive, just genuine confusion. I kinda laughed awkwardly and said I thought that you would show me on your own when you're ready, but I don't know about that anymore. Baby, I love you, but I don't want you to feel like you have to hide your scars from me. Nor do I want you to worry about me breaking up with you over seeing your scars. I love all of you, including your scars. He started crying and I comforted him. He said he didn't want me to be stressed out in our home and that he was sorry. He was a lot more open to couples counseling than personal therapy, which was a half win that I'll take. We talked about our future some more, and I asked if he ever thought that he'd be comfortable with me seeing his scars. He said that he wants to show me, but he's not ready yet. I was happy to accept that, especially since he's agreed to couples counseling and therapy. I am so proud of him. Therapy seemed to be working. After weeks of struggles, where he would shut down, get irritated, and even consider giving up, we finally started to see progress. Small victories that, to other people, might have seemed insignificant, but to us, they were huge. He no longer hid as much at home. It wasn't like he had suddenly become completely comfortable, but he started allowing himself small freedoms. He left his arms uncovered when we were alone, changed his clothes without locking himself in the bathroom, and for the first time, he slept shirtless beside me. I remember the first time it happened. It was a hot night, and he hesitated before lying down next to me. When we turned off the lights, he remained still for a while, as if waiting for something. Maybe he expected me to react somehow, to say something. But I didn't do anything except snuggle against him, just like I always did. I felt his body relax slightly, and he let out a breath, one that I hadn't even realized he had been holding. That was the beginning of a new phase. Slowly, he started to act as if he no longer needed to hide so much from me. He let me see him for real, without the constant barrier of clothing. It wasn't entirely natural for him yet, but I could tell he was trying. I was happy. I thought that finally, after everything, we were okay. But then, strange things started happening. At first, it was small things. He became distracted, lost in thought. Sometimes, I would call his name, and it would take him a few seconds to react, as if he hadn't even heard me. His messages, which used to be quick replies, started taking hours. When I asked about it, he would just say he was tired. And then came the late-night walks. He started going out more often, saying he needed space, that he wanted to clear his mind. I understood. After everything he had been through, maybe he did need some time to process it all. But then, it became more frequent. He started coming home late. Some nights, he didn't even tell me where he was going. I tried not to worry. After all, we were okay, right? He was getting better. We were overcoming everything together. Until one night, I woke up and realized he wasn't in bed. The clock read 3:17 a.m. I got up slowly, a strange feeling in my chest. The house was silent. That was when I noticed the light coming from the bathroom. The door was slightly open, and I could see his silhouette inside. He was standing in front of the mirror, shirtless, staring at his reflection. I stopped in the hallway, unsure if I should go in or just watch. Something about the way he stood there unsettled me. His fingers traced over his scars slowly, as if feeling the texture of his own skin in a new way. His expression wasn't one of pain, nor was it shame. It was something else. Something cold. A chill ran down my spine. I had never seen him like this before. I swallowed hard, and before I could decide what to do, he spoke. "You're awake." It wasn't a question. He didn't look at me. He just kept staring at himself. I hesitated. "I woke up and noticed you weren't in bed." He nodded slowly, as if waiting for me to say something more. "Are you okay?" I asked, trying to sound calm, even though something inside me screamed that something was wrong. It took him a few seconds to respond. "Yes." But his voice didn't sound convincing. There was something about that moment, that silent night, that way he looked at himself, that made me feel a strange kind of fear. A fear I couldn't explain. And it was there, in that quiet moment, standing at the bathroom door, that I realized that maybe, just maybe, I had made a mistake. I thought I was helping. I thought we were healing together. But something inside him had changed. And I didn't know if that was a good thing. The next day, he was different. Quieter, more distant. When I reached out to hug him, he hesitated. Something inside me twisted, but I tried to ignore it. I thought maybe he was still processing everything, still stuck in his own thoughts. But then he said those words. I need some time. My heart stopped for a second. What? He wouldn't look me in the eyes. I don't know. I just need to think. Think about what? My voice came out shakier than I wanted. He ran his hands through his hair, took a deep breath, and finally looked at me. But there was no emotion in his eyes. No love, no pain, nothing. About all this. About us. I stood there, feeling the air leave my lungs. I didn't know what to say. After everything, after fighting by his side, supporting him, staying even when he pushed me away, even when he yelled, even when he didn't want to be helped, I stayed. And now he wanted time. I tried to understand. Maybe it was trauma. Maybe he really needed some space to figure out who he was now that he no longer lived hidden behind his scars. So I did what I thought was right. I gave him space. Days passed, and my mind wouldn't stop. I kept telling myself he just needed a moment to himself, that he would come back soon. But something was eating away at me. I started blaming myself. I was the one who pushed for therapy. I was the one who encouraged him to open up. Maybe I pushed too hard. Maybe he was never ready for this. Maybe, deep down, he resented me for forcing him down a path he never wanted to take. I wasn't sleeping well. I wasn't eating well. And then, the signs started showing. Shorter messages. Lack of responses. More and more nights out. Until a mutual friend casually mentioned that they had seen him at a bar, laughing, drinking, talking to a woman. At first, I thought it was an exaggeration. Maybe he was just making new friends. Maybe he was just trying to socialize. But something inside me screamed not to ignore it. And that's how I made the worst decision of my life. I went looking for him. I needed to know. Deep down, I already knew the answer, but I needed to see it with my own eyes. And I did. There he was, sitting in a quiet corner of the bar, with a woman beside him. Beautiful, confident, laughing with him like they had known each other forever. But what broke me wasn't seeing him there. It was seeing him touch her. The same man who, for so long, couldn't stand being touched, who flinched at the smallest contact, who hid in the dark. Now there he was, his hand resting on her knee, leaning in, whispering something in her ear. My stomach churned. I blinked a few times, thinking maybe I was imagining things, but no, it was real. And then he kissed her. That was when I felt like I had been punched in the chest. I had to get out. Crossing that street felt impossible. My legs were shaking, my breathing uneven. My heart didn't want to accept it, but my mind was already screaming the truth. He didn't need time. He needed to get rid of me. He didn't want me anymore. And, the worst part? He was just waiting to feel good enough to leave me. When he was insecure, when he felt ashamed, I was good enough. But now that his confidence was back, now that he no longer felt the need to hide, he went looking for someone else. The man who, for years, made me believe he would never be accepted, that he would never be touched without disgust, that he would never be desired, was now using that newfound confidence to replace me. I got into the first taxi I saw. I made it home without knowing how I managed to hold back the tears. And when I closed the door behind me, my world collapsed. I cried like I never had before. It wasn't just the betrayal. It was the pain of knowing he never loved me the way I loved him. That all this time, I was just a crutch, a stepping stone for him to climb back up. And now that he was fine, he didn't need me anymore. At first, I cried every day. The betrayal ate me alive. I kept wondering what I had done wrong, at what point I stopped being enough. After everything I had been through by his side, after giving him my all, after being patient, after fighting for him when he couldn't even fight for himself, he just threw me away. And, the worst part, he didn't even have the decency to tell me to my face. I found out because I saw it with my own eyes. After that night, something inside me died. The love I felt turned into emptiness, and then into anger. But I didn't go after him. I waited. I waited for him to come to me because, deep down, I knew he would. It didn't take long. A few days later, he texted me. Can we talk? I read it and deleted it. Then came the calls. I ignored every single one until he showed up at my door. I opened it and stared at him, waiting for him to speak. But he had nothing to say. Nothing but that guilty look, that pathetic regret on his face. "You owe me an explanation," I said coldly. He sighed, ran a hand through his hair, and looked down at the floor. "I didn't want it to be like this." I let out a bitter laugh. "Oh, really? Then how did you want it to be? You cheat on me, throw me away like trash, and then what? Expect me to take you back like nothing happened?" He closed his eyes for a moment, like he was searching for the right words. But there were none. I didn't wait any longer. I was with you at your lowest. I was the only one who never judged you. I never looked at your scars as something ugly. I defended you when no one else did. And what did I get in return? He tried to step closer, but I stepped back. "You don't understand what was going through my head," he muttered. "Oh, but I do. You finally felt good enough, and you went looking for someone else. You thought you could do better, that you deserved different. Because now that you had your confidence back, I wasn't good enough for you anymore, right?" He said nothing. His silence was all the confirmation I needed. "Get out of my house," I said, pointing to the door. He hesitated, but when he saw my face, he knew I wasn't going to change my mind. So he turned around and left. I didn't cry again after that. I went back to therapy. Not to understand why he did what he did, but to understand why I had accepted someone who never deserved me in the first place. Months passed. Slowly, the pain turned into strength. I focused on my career, went out more, met new people. I found happiness again without him. And somehow, life wanted to prove to me that time puts everything in its place. I heard about what happened to him from other people. The woman he cheated on me with? She used him. At first, she made him feel special, fed his ego, made him believe she wanted something real. But she didn't. She was never serious about him. She just enjoyed the attention, enjoyed the power. And when she got bored, she threw him away. And she did worse. When she was done with him, she humiliated him. She mocked his scars, told him he should be grateful that someone like her even gave him a chance, told him to look in the mirror and understand that he would never be enough for a woman like her. And him? He crumbled. Everything I had spent years helping him rebuild, everything I helped him heal, it all came crashing down. And then he came looking for me. The same man who tossed me aside the moment he felt secure, who replaced me like I was disposable, was now back. But I was no longer the same person. He showed up at my door again, but this time, I greeted him differently. I opened the door and looked at him. He looked like a ghost of himself. Hollow eyes, slumped shoulders. "What do you want?" I asked, arms crossed. He hesitated, unsure how to begin. "Oh, please. I already know. She treated you like trash, didn't she?" He swallowed hard. "I just wanted to talk." "Talk about what?" "About how you chose someone who used you and tossed you aside. About how you threw me away for someone who never gave a damn about you." He had no answer. "You're a coward," I continued. "And I do feel sorry for you. But I'm not your safe place anymore." He looked away. "You were always the only one who really saw me." I let out a dry laugh. "And you're just realizing that now? Now that she's done with you?" He shut his eyes, as if trying to block out the truth. "I'm sorry. No, you're not. If you were, you never would have replaced me in the first place." Silence filled the air. And then I delivered the final blow. "The problem isn't me. The problem is that you were never man enough for a woman like her." The impact was instant. I saw the shock in his eyes, the way his face went pale. But I didn't stop. "And now what? Now you want to run back to the one person who loved you when no one else did? The only person who ever stood by you?" He opened his mouth to respond, but I didn't let him. "It's over. I'm done fixing you." And I closed the door. This time for good. Time passed. Things changed. I changed. But some things still make my blood boil when I think about the past. Today, I'm doing well. Better than I ever thought I would back in those days when I could barely get out of bed, when my body felt unbearably heavy and my mind tortured me with the same question over and over again. Why wasn't I enough? But it wasn't easy. It took time. Therapy, focusing on my career, surrounding myself with people who actually valued me. Little by little, I rebuilt myself. I became stronger, more confident. And the funniest part? While I was growing, while I was healing and leaving all of that pain behind, he was drowning. I never spoke to him again after that last time, when I shut him out of my life for good. But the news always finds its way to me. People talk. Even when I don't ask, someone always brings him up. He's not doing well. Ever since that woman used him and humiliated him, he's never been the same. He went back to hiding, back to feeling small, back to avoiding people. They say he tried to move on, to go out with others, but nothing lasted. He kept repeating the same cycle of self-destruction. And that is what infuriates me the most. Because I remember how he made me feel. I remember all the times he made me carry his insecurities. Like it was my responsibility to prove to him that I loved him, that his scars didn't bother me, that he was enough. I remember how every avoided look, every withdrawn moment, every heavy silence made me feel like I had to do more. That I had to be more patient. That I had to carry that relationship until he was finally ready to love himself. And I did. I did everything for him. I was patient. I was understanding. I defended him when no one else did. And when he couldn't love himself, I loved him for the both of us. And what did he do the moment he felt good again? He went looking for someone else. He chose a woman who never had to fight for him, who never had to carry his burdens, who never had to stay up at night convincing him he was loved. A woman who only showed up when he was already whole. And she destroyed him. Funny, isn't it? I spent years rebuilding a man who, in the end, ran to someone who never had to see his scars in the dark, who never had to walk on eggshells trying not to break him. And now, he wants to look at me again. Now that he's been stepped on, humiliated, thrown away, he wants to come back? I still get angry when I think about it. Because when he was at his lowest, when he needed someone to hold him up, to take the weight of the world off his shoulders, I was good enough. But when he felt strong, when he finally had the confidence he always wanted, I was disposable. And that's why he left me. That has always hurt more than the betrayal itself. Knowing that, deep down, I was never the woman he wanted. I was just the woman he needed, until he didn't anymore. And now that he's fallen back into that same darkness, suddenly he remembers me? No. Not this time. This time, he can drown on his own. Because I'm not that woman anymore. The one who desperately tries to save someone who would have never done the same for me. He didn't realize what he had until he lost it. But now it's too late.